Welcome to Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul the Waterman is Colorado's expert on all things related to the water we use and drink in our homes. Have you ever thought about where your water actually comes from? Is it safe to drink? Is it harmful to my health, my skin, my hair? Paul the Waterman knows water, and he has the answers. Haystack Help Radio proudly presents Water Talk. Now here's your host, Scott Watley, and owner of Water Pros, Paul the Waterman.
Old Ann and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water, water, cool water, clear water, water.
And we'd like to welcome you to Water Talk, brought to you by Water Pros. Their number 303-862-5554. A free in-home water test is available for you. You just need to call that number, 303-862-5554. With that, we will welcome the man, Paul, the Waterman.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
You need like a shirt, like a Superman shirt, you know, like
Superman shirt,
just
Paul
with
the
a
Waterman.
W, with a
That's
W
right,
on
Waterman.
it, and then spell out Waterman somehow.
I'm telling you, what's in our water supply, we definitely need a superhero. It's first of all, I want to say real quick, Sean Payton fired the wrong guy. He should have fired himself. Right? Poor Lombardi gets fired, and Payton's the one that made the call, and we should be playing in the Super Bowl. We should be, absolutely we should. And I'm not going to watch it. Who's going to watch it? Are you going to watch it?
No,
I don't care.
I could be wrong, but I'm going to go on record as saying Seattle by 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a blowout.
I really think so.
Yeah, I think so too. You can go to YouTube and watch old Super Bowls, and I might do that. Pick one. But so on a serious note, Scott, this is after last week's show. It was very sobering to me, and I was trying to figure out a way to market the message about the pharmaceuticals that are in our drinking water. Mm-hmm. So I've been searching, right, for the unregulated contaminated list, the EPA. Our buddy Mark told us about it. There's a laundry list of contaminants that they know about it. And, it's not published, meaning that municipalities don't have to test for them and report them. But I found that Fort Collins is participating in this, contamination, study that the EPA is doing. So Fort Collins will test for pharmaceuticals, for hormones in our water supply, and then submit the results to the EPA. And so I don't know how long the EPA is going to take before they determine we should know the truth. But when viruses are in the water, it all makes sense. I mean, the light bulb went on for me. We remember when COVID came, and I thought COVID was like this invisible monster that was swallowing up the earth. Mm-hmm. Because and do you remember?
That's the way they presented it.
Right. I mean, do you remember in the news that COVID came? It came from California, it came west. Right. They had people, and I remember, watching TV, and there was this airplane that had people that tested positive for COVID landed in L.A. And next thing you know, it just spread like wildfire. Mm. It was in our water. The virus was in our water. That's how it spreads. And so I always say common sense is a dying commodity in today's world. And so my wife thinks I should say common sense isn't so common anymore. But if they could test for a virus in the waste treatment plant, because that's what they did, right? They tested for a virus in the waste treatment plant during COVID. Well, then, that means the virus was surviving because chlorinated water, and chlorine is a disinfectant, so they use a chloramine. I don't know why I didn't realize that it's in our drinking water.
And they could test for all these things.
Well, they do, but they don't tell us. So no matter what community you live in, when they give you your yearly water quality report, they're lying to us. I mean, simple. By not... my dad used to say, a half truth or a partial truth is still a lie. Mm-hmm. And he's right. I mean, but we're being lied to when they're not telling us the truth. So what gets me is, people who are fighting cancer, their immune system is beaten up because they're fighting cancer. So you give somebody a glass of water right from the tap, is that how they get the, because most people don't die of cancer, they die of a virus that attacks them because their immune system is so weakened that's what takes them over.
Now, you mentioned a water quality report. Have you in your lifetime ever received one?
I've never received one.
Okay.
Not in the city of Aurora.
So,
have you received one in Highlands
No.
Ranch? Yeah.
So is the, quote, law that they're available and we have to ask, or have you read that before or something we can look
No,
into?
it's mandated in the Clean Water Act. Yeah, it's mandated. By law, we're supposed to get a water quality report. Now, do some of them print them online and then we're obligated to, go online and read them? Do they tell us? Do you get a statement in your bill saying, hey, check the water quality report. It's available online for your review? See, the EPA published this stuff. But when you go to the EPA's website, there's not a tab that says, hey, check out our contaminated list or unregulated contaminated list. They don't. So, to recap, I went to AI and said, I'm looking for, the EPA's unregulated contaminated list. And then the AI search engine went to the EPA's website and pulled all this information out.
I know. You got like 100 pages in
I got
front
100
of you.
pages of information right here. So here's the thing. For 2 years on this show, we've been talking about the contaminant that's in our water supply, that's been in our water supply for over 150 years, and that's 1,4-dioxin. I have a clip of 2 years ago during this exact show where I thought, hey, I broke the news, 1,4-dioxin. I did that little red alert, thing I used to do, and hey, it's 1,4-dioxin in their water supply. And I thought, man, this is brand spanking new. Then I find out, nope, it's been around since 1863.
Jeez.
And so it's been in our water ever since. And so it's a carcinogen, it's a contaminant, and now it's in our laundry soap and our shampoo, 1,4-dioxin. You go to YouTube and you type in 1,4-dioxin and you'll see a medical doctor that talks, he's being interviewed and tells the interviewer, this is a carcinogen, it's harmful, and the type of disease that it can cause in humans. And the EPA still has it on its unregulated contamination list.
So then the question is, the million-dollar question, why?
So, because money. So 1,4-dioxin, the state of New York passed a law to outlaw and ban 1,4-dioxin, but then there was a loophole in their law that allows it to still be used in the state. So what good is that? The reason why I say money. Well, infrastructure, no water treatment plant, I don't care where you're at, from Pueblo to Greeley to Fort Collins to Loveland to Silverthorne to Grand Junction to Omaha, Nebraska. Nobody in a water treatment plant can remove these kind of contaminants in the water supply. What you have to think of is that we have a bunch of viruses that are in the water supply right now. Go to waterpros.net and we have them all listed. So I have a great team and they have every single virus that and bacteria that's in our water that is on the EPA's unregulated contamination list. And they have you can go to our website and they have a picture. You can click on you can see what it looks like and, the hazards that, it causes us. The other thing that's really concerning to me is the amount of hormones that are in our water supply and the EPA. So there's ovulation blockers, and I'm uncomfortable to say that word. I don't know why, but that's there. There's testosterone, there's estrogen, and so all this stuff is in our drinking water supply. They know that, and yet they're not telling us. So every glass of water that you drink, and if it's not filtered, then you're taking a cocktail of pharmaceuticals and antibiotics. We'll throw in that mix. And you also have viruses. There's viruses in our water supply right now that cause the stomach flu. So how many times have someone, raise your hand out there and give us a call at 303-477-5600, and I'd love to talk to you about it and answer any questions you may have. But how many times have you got, woke up and got a stomach bug and you thought it's something that, you ate? Mm-hmm. You blame Taco Bell. right? You know, it's like, oh, I should blame fast food or something, you know, your wife cooked or your husband cooked or what grandma, you know, bought over.
Right.
No, it's the virus, it's the systemic viruses. You know, I was thinking about this. Every single house now, Scott, absolutely should have a whole house ultraviolet light filtration system. Everybody should have, you know, a reverse osmosis drinking water filter system to, you know, attack the pharmaceuticals. So one thing, Colleen and I had the whole house. We had the whole house filtration system. We had the UV system. I had the ultraviolet light system installed, not because I knew, you know, viruses in, you know, that were in the water, was because I had to do, you know, nasal rinses. It took 3 sinus surgeries to get me where I am today, but I had to do nasal rinses, and they told me use distilled water. You and I have reported several times on this show about people who did the Nevi pot using tap water and got a brain-eating amoeba and they died, right? And they were in Texas and Florida, and both of those areas because those amoebas live in warm water, okay? But what's happening now and what we have to understand, it's more important than anything, is that these viruses and bacteria are becoming resistant to the sanitation of our water supply, which is a chloramine. So they added ammonia to it. So it's chlorine. The whole world uses chlorine as a disinfectant. But when you add ammonia to it, what happens is that chlorine doesn't dissipate. It stays in the water. Okay?
Right.
So now we have something else that, you know, we have to be concerned about, is that are these viruses and bacteria becoming resistant to the chlorine? And I think the answer is yes, because of the viruses that are in the water right now that the EPA is not telling us. And then we use the prime example of, you know, the COVID virus. If you can test for a live virus in the waste treatment plant, you know, in the waste treatment plant, on top of all the other junk that's in there, there's chlorine.
Right. You wonder with these, like nasal, you brought up a good point there, nasal rinses and things like that, and people struggle with that for maybe months or maybe years, and why? Could it be you're rinsing with contaminated water that's continuing the infection?
Absolutely correct. So here's something else. Think about this. We're constantly, what about if our body becomes resistant to antibiotics because of the antibiotics in our water supply? What if we're getting resistant to, and we're building a tolerance to ibuprofen and Tylenol, acetaminophen?
Which can happen.
Well, that's because it's in our water supply. What if that happens? What if, how many people out there can raise their hand that says, you know, Tylenol doesn't do anything for me anymore? Or ibuprofen doesn't do anything for me anymore? Is it because there's so much of it in our tap water that, you know, when you take that medication, your body's like, you know, it basically, you know, is immune to it. It builds a resistance. So the antibiotics, this is a bigger issue, Scott, because there's tons of bacteria out there that are becoming antibiotic resistant. We have what's called superbugs. Here's something else that should scare everybody, and this is a fact. Every single hospital, doctor, clinic, morgue, right, all that, you know, human waste, blood, it gets sent down the drain. You know, one of these days, I'm going to have an appointment with a mortician, and all my blood's going to be down the drain. Right? I mean, that's the truth.
No, you're right.
So, you know, all that gets mixed in. So when we take a medication...
You know, besides just, you know, excreting, you know, through human waste or whatever, our prescriptions we may be on, you know, I bet most people take those 10 tablets, 20 tablets, 2 tablets, whatever's left, and flush them.
Absolutely. Or they throw them in the garbage, which ends up, you know. See, I was talking, people don't realize with landfills that we can have contamination in our water supply from a landfill. I mean, the EPA and the EPA's website, when you talk about how do we get certain contamination, you know, in our water, pharmaceuticals, even the EPA says from landfills. So, you know, the landfill is you know, you take a bunch of trash and you bury it, and there's some that's going to break down and deteriorate over time, metals, steel, right? But plastic doesn't, and that's another issue we have is microplastics. Every major body of water in Colorado has plastics in it. So the microplastics can carry these pharmaceuticals in our body.
And, you know, we were hearing a lot about microplastics a while back, but that term seems to have gotten out of the news of late.
Well, during
it's more about the prescription.
Prescription drug. Well, here's the thing that's going to scare me. Was it Father's Day weekend on Fox News? I remember it went from you have a microplastics in the brain enough that could make a credit card to, in that Father's Day weekend report, we have enough microplastics in our brain that could, make up a plastic fork. Mm-hmm. They don't go away. And so we're not doing anything to improve our water environment, not one thing. And so, the EPA's chemical contaminant list, if I have 1,4-dioxin, that's something that's been around for over 150 years, I can't help but wonder all these other hard to pronounce, contaminations, in, how long have they been involved in our water supply? But then I guess my point is the cumulative factor.
Right.
So we learned about forever chemicals. Everybody in the world has forever chemicals in their body. Those are chemicals that don't break down, don't disappear. And they were designed that way. So I learned that we have forever chemicals now that make up medication. And we have forever chemicals that are used, that Teflon spray are used in joint replacement. So any kind of shoulder rotator cuff, any kind of pin, hip replacement joint that they use, it's coated with this like Teflon spray, so to speak. And now your body doesn't reject that replacement. Mm-hmm. So if you get screws or pins, you break an ankle and they put screws in to stabilize it, or you have to put a pin in, to help support a broken bone in your leg or your arm, that has a form of forever chemical that's coated on it. So then the body basically doesn't attach to that and try to treat it as a foreign substance and attack it. But that used to happen all the time.
Right.
Here's a question, and when you and I were kids and we were going to school, have you ever heard, do you remember in school having a classmate that was a boy that now wants to be a girl? No. Me neither. So is that happening today because either they're being indoctrinated, or is it because it's what the water they're drinking? Maybe a little bit of both. I think it's, the water they're drinking. I was thinking about this the other day. Now, one time in any, when I was going to school, even in high school, I didn't have that issue.
Right.
But it seems to be common practice today.
Yeah, you hear of it a lot.
You hear of it a lot. Is it because of the hormones that are in our drinking water? Mm-hmm. So I have a microbial contaminant list, and the adenoid virus is number one, and that's a respiratory illness and occasionally gastrointestinal illness. That's in our water.
And again, I always like to back up where we get this information from. The EPA put that out.
EPA put that out. It's the EPA website. So you can go to any AI search engine, use ChatGPT, right? You type in, give me the list of unregulated EPA unregulated contaminants in my drinking water, and there it is.
Yep.
It'll pop up. You'll have it. So when I got this stuff, I knew it was, I always thought it was there, but when you actually see what's there, it bothers me to the point where, why not tell us the truth? Mm-hmm. And again, I go back to those who, if you're fighting cancer, and, it seems like everybody, we know, is fighting cancer. I mean, I had skin cancer removed, and now, I got to do that body scan forever. And it's, it's just part of life. But it's like, thank goodness that, if people that have those diseases should be told, don't drink tap water. People that have those diseases should be told, drink distilled water, get a reverse osmosis. But then also, why don't they tell us what's really going on, so then everybody could get a whole house ultraviolet light?
Mm-hmm. 303-862-5554. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Paul does offer a free in-home water test. You just need to call 303-862-5554, and they'll come out. Don't go anywhere. More coming back with Paul the Waterman right after this.
How much do you need to lower your monthly mortgage payment? $200, $300, $400 or more? As rates decline, take AIM, Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Over 24 years of saving Coloradans money. Low rates, lower payments, less costs. What makes us different is we listen. As an independent mortgage broker, we shop the top lenders to save you the most. Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Want to purchase your next home? You can't qualify unless you sell your current home? Let us show you how to get the down payment out of your current home, qualify for the new one, and then sell yours for the most. Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. So you want to buy a home. Let us show you loans that can save you money, low down payment, first-time home buyer specials, fixed rates in the 4s with buy-downs. Call for details, 720-895-0500, or apply now at aimortgage.net. That's Affordable Interest Mortgage, where it's all about you. Regulated by DORA and MLS 217147, Equal Credit Lender.
Start the new year off with your Water Pros whole house water filtration system. Hey, Scott Watley here. Listen, for only $21.95, Water Pros will install a whole house filter that will remove total chlorine, forever chemicals, lead, and reduce scale. With this state-of-the-art water filtration system, you will have great drinking water at every faucet. Call Water Pros today, 303-862-5554. That's 303-862-5554. Also, join us for Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, Fridays at noon, right here on KLZ 560. Welcome back to Water Talk. Again, my name is Scott Watley, along with Paul Dowding, Paul the Waterman, owner of Water Pros. Once again, the number 303-862-5554. As you go into homes daily, what seems to be making them call? I mean, we get a lot of listeners from the show, but are they naming any particular thing that we talk about that makes them go, man, I need to call him?
The concern for drinking water, the quality of drinking water is number one. I'm still going into homes and seeing the wrong water filtration system set up. You know, I try to tell people water treatment isn't plug and play, especially wall water, units. Wall water with extreme hard water, a single tank water softener won't work. I mean, just because, you're using the same dirty water during the backwashing process, so they just have no chance to succeed. And then you add a iron filter on top of it, it's just you're going to get more cruddy water coming from that filtration system that's actually coming from the well. Mm-hmm. And people don't look at, acidic water is another issue. And I have to pointed out to a couple people this week that, okay, because you see the evidence, you see acidity, and you want to point out to them, it eats at your copper pipes. It causes, folks that live in homes that were built in the 70s and early part of the 80s, they use lead solder. So if you have acidic water, you can, it's going to leach the lead. Same with folks that live in a municipality that the homes were built in the same time period. The chlorine content can leach lead from the lead solder. So it's things we have to pay attention to. This contamination list, to me, everybody needs to have their own water filtration system. Everybody needs to have, a minimum of whole house ultraviolet light filtration supported by reverse osmosis. And if the water's hard enough, then you definitely need to have a water softener, because those two that we just talked about, they don't function properly in hard water. Mm-hmm. So water treatment definitely isn't plug and play. I'm afraid what's going to happen is that you're going to some of these bigger companies out there, they're going to, get wind of this, and they're going to start wanting to sell a $22,000, whole house filtration system. They're going to try to price these units on par like a furnace and air conditioning replacement. Right. And have you noticed, a lot of people, when they come out, you need a furnace, they're going to, also part of the price will be a new air conditioner. And so they're going to want to do everything all at once. And so this is something that, it's like Rahm Emanuel said, don't you take advantage of a crisis. And this is absolutely going to be a crisis. If they were truthful and we knew one of the viruses or bacteria that is in our water supply is called a mycobacterium. And what it does, Scott, is it can give you lung infections, and it also can give you such like hurt people who are fighting cystic fibrosis. Can also cause skin and soft tissue infections. That's in our drinking water. So what about those people that have MS?
Right.
Same thing, because MS attacks, the body attacks the immune system. So, it's don't drink tap water.
When you go into homes and you say you find, the wrong systems, do you also find that some people say, well, I've got this filter that I bought that's on my faucet and that should be doing it? I mean, so what I'm asking, are there some garbage filters out there in big box stores where people think and I guess something's better than nothing, but in some cases maybe not, because they're not doing anything really.
Well, let's pick on these filters that you see advertised on TV, these showerhead filters. So how many gallons of water do you think a showerhead filter was going to be effective? Not many. So, water filters, anybody that goes online and you find a company that says, oh, this filter will filter 1 million gallons of water. That's such an irresponsible thing to say. How do you know? Because the other water quality will affect it. It's just, it's not, how many, not to pick on it, but, there's companies out there that sell online filters that also say salt-free water softeners, and they're lying. There's no such thing as a salt-free water softener. Mm-hmm. And anybody can, here's the majority of the plumbers don't understand water filtration, water treatment. They don't take the time to, because a lot of them are out there trying to sell this magnet water filter, and that's just junk. It's not real. A magnet water filter system.
Yeah, explain a little bit just to educate folks.
So anybody that, goes out and says they sell a salt-free water softener, they're not being truthful. Then there's some companies out there that want to say a magnet is going to repolarize the minerals in water. So if hard water is called calcium carbonate, and then when air comes in contact to it, it converts, it's a solid, it's a scale, it's a rock. So a magnet is not going to repolarize a rock. It's not there. So they're taking legitimate science. An ion exchange resin, water softening resin, that removes hardness was developed in the 1890s in Germany. And so it's a petroleum-based product. It's synthetic plastic, basically, and it has a negative charge. So when water comes in contact to it, the resin grabs the hardness molecule, which is positive charge. So the ion exchange, here's what happens. If hardness is calcium carbonate, your detergent for a water softener is saline. It's sodium chloride. So calcium carbonate, sodium chloride is a rinsing agent. So when it goes through that process, the calcium and the chloride are sent down the drain, and the sodium carbonate is what's left over. So the byproduct of a water softener is baking soda. That's why folks that are on well water, that have extremely hard water, their TDS, the total dissolved solid number, is extremely high. So you need a point of use reverse osmosis to make the water safe. But some cases, some folks need a whole house reverse osmosis because you would have baking soda. So if I had water hardness that was like 50 grains per gallon, and I put in a dual tank water softener to treat it, what's left over, what you'd see on the shower or at the kitchen sink, is this white powder. It's not hardness, it's baking soda. Baking soda will precipitate out of the water because it's so hard and the TDS level is so high. It's an ion exchange. Some folks need a whole house reverse osmosis because they don't want to see that powder. Right. It doesn't build up, it doesn't destroy anything, but it's there. So hardness precipitates out of water, but it's a harmful scale that attacks O-rings, attacks grout, it builds up on your shower door, and then you have to use acid basically to dissolve that rock.
Yeah, and I tell you, it is amazing when you look at faucets and the corrosion and then just the hardness of, man, you can't get it off. Really.
No, you can't. You can't. Soft water. So there's a carpet cleaning company out there that, uses soft water to clean your carpet. So I want to report something I found last week. And so last Tuesday, Drinking Water Agency sues Denver for the forever chemical contamination that they said is from firefighting foam. So South Adams County Water in Sanitation District says contamination from Denver's Roslyn Training Center, the Forever Chemicals, PFAS, that's lasted for decades and is ongoing. So last Tuesday, South Adams County Water and Sanitation District filed a lawsuit against the city and county of Denver for allegedly contaminating this district's raw water supply for decades. So Denver, basically, because they use PFAS. So do you think Denver was told when they first did this firefighting foam, do you think they were told that, hey, you're going to contaminate water? You and I have done stories, right? You and I have done stories. I played audio clips from videos that we found on YouTube where the people, the DuPont and 3M that made, Forever Chemicals, they knew there was Forever. They knew there was a problem, but they really didn't tell anybody about it to the 70s. And there was lawsuits that they settled. 3M is based in Minnesota, so, we did stories where, a lot of the lakes, the fish up there, they had more PFAS contamination in fish than blood. And so I find this funny is that, they're going to blame Denver for this. And, this is where, I think the money grab starts. Mm-hmm. So, Denver is a municipality. Can they claim, hey, we didn't know this? So, how's this going to settle? But what's going to happen is the tax dollars from this, the residents in Denver, County of Denver, are basically going to pay Adams County. How's this going to play out? How many billions of dollars are they going to want for the contamination and the cleanup?
Right. And if all this really got out about all the antibiotics in the water, the PFAS, the hormones, all the things we talk about every week, really, money would be the issue, wouldn't it? They can't afford, dude, to fix it, to be quite honest with you.
So infrastructure, so think about the age of this community, the growth. So here's the long-range problem. Long-range problem is all these growing communities, the water is going to be recyclable. 2-3 years ago, we saw it on 9 News where they interviewed somebody from, I believe it was Denver Water, where they said, it's going to be recyclable. This is the answer to our water needs. So when you use reusable water, it's basically right from the toilet to the tap. San Diego, California does it right now, 100% reusable water. Castle Rock was at 35% reusable water, but I'm pretty sure that's increased now because of growth there. So you got Sterling Ranch that's growing out on, up in Douglas County, up of Highway 85. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have all this growth in Aurora, the Highlands, on 470. Commerce City, Reunion area is just, it's growing. So the airport pretty soon is going to be all homes.
Sure.
Okay, so where's all the water going to come from? It's going to be reusable water. You're going to have, and so why is this important, everything that we're talking about? So when you're at reusable water, every time you flush the toilet, there's medication contamination in your water supply. That's a fact. So when you take a medication, that medication metabolizes in the body. Your body's going to get rid of that medication because that's what it's designed to do. It's going to treat it as a foreign substance. So that's another reason why when you take a medication, you have to go to the doctor's office. They want you to test your kidney function because, your kidneys could be damaged by the medication. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's put it all together. This is something that, is in our water supply. It's not going to go anywhere. And here's the other thing. When you take a hormone and you take something that is opposite of what your body is, the body's going to treat that as a poison and want to get rid of it. So then you're going to expel that hormone into the water supply for somebody else to drink. And that's why I asked the question. Why is it when you and I were kids, we didn't hear anything about people wanting to transition because they were born in the wrong body, but now we do? Is it because of the water we drink? It's a serious question to ask. And if they're not telling us that, that's where I think is wrong. I think we have a right to know. We have a right to know that, yes, you have antibiotics in your water. Mm-hmm. We have a right to know this. So then we can make our own decision about, hey, we need a reverse osmosis. So then why doesn't the government get involved and do this? And then the other thing, they want to talk about all this environmental, the Green New Deal, which has kind of gone away now. Why don't we have a scenario where we can, low-income people could, get a grant to get at least a drinking water system?
I mean, I do a show with E-Bike of Colorado, and the last couple of years they've been doing $450 rebates if you buy an e-bike.
So I don't know if those are right. Yeah,
why couldn't we do something?
Right. So they took away the big rebates for electric vehicles.
Right.
So those are gone. And now, but what about, Scott, here's a question for you. What about these people right now that are choosing to, and I don't mean to, beat the drum on this, who are choosing to augment their bodies, and then what they're expelling, what if that's creating damage to other people? Because hormone therapy can cause cancer. Mm-hmm. All right. I know for a fact that women that have to go on hormone therapy, they used to say, don't do it because it can create, breast cancer. And so and now the EPA's changed that and said, no, it's not so bad. You can go ahead and go on, back to hormone therapy. So who knows what's right there? Right. But, there's been so much of it. Estrogen is in the water supply simply also because of birth control.
And hormone therapy everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Sure. So, something else I want everybody to think about. What about the PFAS contamination? Are we gonna have a blood test that people get tested for PFAS? Because we did if you go to our website waterpros.net, I have a video. It's a 55-minute video, and towards the end, the fellas that were basically did a great job at exposing PFAS, the history of PFAS, the chemical, the makeup of it's got so long. That's why it doesn't break down. And so they talk about what it was used in the atom bomb, the manufacturing practices. So one of the reporters in the story has PFAS. He had a range from 4 part per billion to 7 part per billion average. If that's in your body, then you could be susceptible to certain cancer risks. Mm-hmm. And he had that. Is that going to be something that's going to be a common test? PFAS in municipalities, they took away Gen X. So when you and I first broke the story about PFAS, I thought it was brand spanking new. Of course it wasn't, right? How many times have I come to you with a topic thinking it's brand new, and then I find out it's been going on for 30 years?
Right. Well, I'm not going to say daily or weekly, but certainly monthly, new things do come out about water, And I think there's just so much going on in the world today that this isn't a big hot topic right now. But one day, it will be. Absolutely.
So think about all the water problems that we have. Think about, the forever chemicals, the microplastics, the pharmaceuticals, the viruses, the bacteria. And so it's all one big picture. Without you, I do this show and I try to educate and alarm. Without you, no one would know that I sell water treatment because I really don't talk about it. You have to force me to say, hey, talk about water treatment, right? You're with Water Pros. We're here to,
right.
That's what you do. So I get so consumed by the problem. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, here's the thing. Everything that we have that's wrong with our drinking water today has been, I think, this way for 50 years. I think we've had microplastics for a long time. When plastics first came, and it's something that gradually build up. The amount of plastic pollution that we have that tests positive in every single major body of water just didn't happen in the last 10 years. It's happened for a very long time. Right. And then everything. Here's a word that I learned that it's called bioaccumulate. Bioaccumulate means that it's everywhere in the environment. It's in the air, it's in the plants, it's in the waters, it's in the food that we eat. So it's in our vegetables, it's in the meat products that we eat. It's everywhere. And so the other thing is that people don't realize what is contaminating the world contaminates us because we're part of it.
Mm-hmm. 303-862-5554. Don't go on. We'll come back. We're going to review our special that's still going on with Paul the Waterman right after this. Looking to gear up for your next hunt, fishing trip, or camping adventure? Head to the Outdoorsman's Attic, Colorado's largest consignment store for hunting, fishing, and camping gear, located at 2650 West Hampden. Hey, this is Scott with Sportsman of Colorado Radio, and you'll find wall-to-wall outdoor gear to firearms and ammo. You'll find incredible selection at unbeatable prices, plus clothing over 90 days old is up to 50% off, so there's always great deals waiting. Whether you're upgrading gear or just getting started, the Outdoorsman's Attic is a must-stop. Mention Sportsman of Colorado for additional discounts. It's the Outdoorsman's Attic, where smart outdoorsmen shop. Tell them Scott sent you. It's 2650 West Hampden.
Turn a normal day into an adventure on an e-bike. Hi, I'm Randy Caranci, founder of E-Bike of Colorado. E-bikes are a fun way to ride around town. Just try it. Pedal assist technology flattens the steepest hills. We have 14 major brands to choose from, and our expert staff will find you the perfect bike. Come take a free test ride at E-Bike of Colorado in downtown Louisville next to the historic grain elevator. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Learn more at ebikeofcolorado.com. Just try it.
Need new glasses fast? With Stack Optical's on-site lab, you'll get your prescription glasses in just 3 to 4 days. No long wait times. Hey, this is Scott Watley, and I've trusted my eye care to Allen Stack and Stack Optical for the last 15 years. Eye exams are only $69, and that should be a part of your physical checkups each year. For over 50 years, Denver has trusted this family-owned boutique eye care center for premium vision care, custom eyewear, and expert repairs. See the Stack Optical difference today. Call 303-321-1578. That's 303-321-1578 and tell them Scott sent you. Stack Optical. Since 1968, at Stack Optical, you'll see the difference.
This is KLZ 560, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk. Again, my name is Scott Watley. Paul Dowding is with us. Paul the Waterman. It is Water Pros $41.95.
Whole house.
All right, explain it.
Whole house matrix water filtration system that's got, this is a super duper Superman system, right? It does, removes the total chlorine content of forever chemicals. It's bacteria resistant, removes lead, and softens the water. So it does it, and then for $21.95, we have that same filter media that can filter a whole house but doesn't soften the water.
Okay.
So we have that.
And again, we're not saying you've got hard water. That's why you need to come out
and do the water test.
Test.
Right. We'd also do the total chlorine test for folks so they can see for themselves. So, but here's now. Scott, I think everybody, we have to revise this. We have to come up with a complete package plan. I'm going to work on it because we need to have, the reverse osmosis, the whole house filtration, and the ultraviolet light.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, within our water supply, you have to be covered by everything. People need to think about this. You need to have your own little water treatment plant in your home to ensure that you and your family have great tasting drinking water. So I was thinking about this, and I want to ask you a question because you guys have the RO system. So when our granddaughter doesn't visit, because when she visits, and she's got the flu, we get the flu, right? I mean, kids, okay.
Right.
So, but I don't think Colleen and I, have really gotten an intestinal flu, and I wondered if it's because we got the whole house unit with the UV. Now, you drink RO water.
Yep.
All right, so tell me, does you and Victoria...
I'm not sick. I mean, it's been a long time.
So, I mean, in RO is nanofiltration, so it's small enough to trap those viruses.
Right.
And so that's a question I'm having is that, do we need, before, water filtration, water treatment, real quick to tell you a story. When I first got involved in it, it wasn't, you had to create the need and want. People didn't realize, water softeners, no one went out and studied the quality of water like I do. No one, and if they did, we may be better off. But the way they approached it was go to somebody's house and do this hour and a half, 2 hour demonstration and create the shock factor, create the need and want, and then, walk away with the sale. Right. So that's why a lot of companies still do that. A lot of my competitors go out there and use a scary demonstration to scare folks into buying water filtration.
Right. See, now, I mean, when you first came to our house, and I didn't know you super well, okay? I mean, it was right after we started the show and all, and you said you're going to do the water test, and I said, okay. And you didn't walk in with, like, a briefcase or, a whole bunch of different bags of things, whatever. You asked me for a bottle of water.
Right.
All right, we're going to give you the ingredients right now, okay? A bottle of water, a clear glass, a bowl, and a washcloth. That was so. I guess my question to you is, and I'll let you explain your water test, but what are other things that you know are happening out there of how other people may test? I can tell you back in the 70s, there used to be all kinds of stuff, when I was growing up. And they'd have drops they would put in water, and it would turn at different colors.
They do the same thing. It hasn't changed. So here's the thing, Scott. If I ask someone to provide me the supplies for the testing, then I'm not making anything up. Mm-hmm. Right?
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. So I'll do a hardness test, and so I'll use test strips now because, here I am trying to talk about, water quality, and I think I'd be irresponsible if I'm using chemicals to test your water, and then I'm going to dump those same chemicals down your sink. So use test strips. And then by asking a customer, hey, do you have bottled water? Can I, bottled water, washcloth in a glass, in a bowl. And then you rinse the bottled water, which is soft water, and you show all that soap buildup, and that there it is. There's what hard water does. That's what affects your clothes. That can create the skin irritation. Now, we do the total chlorine test because we want to show folks if you have a hot water heater, the total chlorine, because the chloramine builds up in the hot water, so you have higher total chlorine content coming from the hot water heater than you do your cold water because it's 50 gallons of storage. So the virus that's in the water supply, cold water is, averages in the metro area about 0.3 to 0.5 part per million of total chlorine content. In hot water heaters, it can come out over 1 part per million of chlorine content. Some parts of the metro area I've tested where the chlorine content is over 3 part per million. To me, that makes you sick. See, municipalities require a minimum amount of chlorine content. Any kind of, like a preschool, a private school that has kids. I think the number, if you have more than 20 kids or more, that water supply should have chlorine content in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but high levels of chlorine are not healthy for us. I mentioned this before. You remember you do a lot of traveling. You go to a seminar. You go to out of town to do an event. You ever stay at a hotel and you get up in the middle of the night and get a glass of water and then you lay back down and it's almost like drinking swimming pool water, amount of chlorine content you have. So chlorine, and then chlorination itself. There's another problem. Chlorination in our water supply create carcinogens. Trihalomethanes. Trihalomethanes is now a regulated contaminant that they test for and report in the water quality report. But, all this other stuff that we find that's not tested for or required to be tested and reported by the EPA, so that means your municipality doesn't have to tell you the truth, what's really in your water, makes that water quality report basically worthless and makes the Clean, Safe Drinking Water Act that was passed by Congress basically worthless because there's a lot of contaminants they don't tell us about.
Right.
So, I think in the grand scale of things, I encourage people to do the research yourself, see for yourself that you have these contaminants, and then, you can give us a call at Water Pros and, and go to waterpros.net, check out our website, check out our blog. We've got a lot of great information on the website. We have everything that we're talking about, these viruses. We have them labeled, listed, and we have pictures of them so you can see what they look like and see what they do. That polio virus is, in our water supply.
Really?
Right. So people like you and I, we got vaccinated for polio.
Sure.
Measles, the measles outbreak, that's highly contagious. What if measles is also part of, can spread through water? Because measles are in your body, right? And then anytime you go to the restroom, you're expelling a virus. Do you know, Scott, they can test biosolids is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about. Biosolids is the human waste that they take from waste treatment plants and they, spread it on family farms or corporate farms. But biosolids affect our food chain, so whatever in the biosolids is also can contaminate. So, that's another issue. Biosolids are in PFAS. Whatever comes out of your body ends up in biosolids. So biosolids, we have PFAS contamination, we have microplastics, cholesterol is in biosolids. All medications that we take end up in biosolids. So, we get it really, it's all over. So we get it in our drinking water, then it's in the biosolids. So then what's in the biosolids is spread all over the farmland, so it gets into our food supply. So what if the What if the sweet corn we eat has all the medications in there that we don't know about, and they got the medications in the sweet corn because of the biosolids that was used to fertilize? Forever chemicals. The forever chemicals contaminates. We had I did a special, played a video I saw on YouTube where a dairy farm in Maine, he had to destroy his whole dairy cow herd because of the PFAS contamination. We had folks that bought an apple orchard in Maine, and her husband died of thyroid cancer because of the huge amount of PFAS that were in the apple orchard. And she's out there, I think she's still alive today. She's got a horrendous amount of PFAS in her body, and she's, trying to spread the word how dangerous this is. The thing that amazes me is that if you go to YouTube and you type in pharmaceuticals in my drinking water, in the 90s, every major news outlet from CNN, NBC News to AP did stories and videos about pharmaceuticals in the drinking water. Now that's all gone. You haven't seen anything from a news outlet in the last 10 years. Why? Or the last 20 years. I mean, it's there. So if it's in the, we have to be aware. I think the major health concern, it's a major health concern, and it's pretty scary to me that if you can't rely on your tap water, so okay, we can't rely on it, then tell us and let us make the decision. For $2.33 a day, you could afford a complete whole house water filtration system that included the matrix water filtration system that's special for $41.95, an ultraviolet light, whole house ultraviolet light, and a point of use reverse osmosis for $2.33 a day. So if they told me the truth that was really in my water, should I not have that ability to make that decision that yes, instead of me going to Starbucks every day and spending $6 on a cup of coffee, I want to take $2.33 of that so I can have, safe water at home?
Yep. Tell you what, we got to hit our last break real quick. Don't go anywhere. A couple more minutes with Paul the Waterman right after this.
Here's why you need personal injury attorney Kevin Flesh on your side. He understands the way the jury thinks. In the context of a personal injury case, you've been hurt by someone else's negligence. The idea is that you're going to try to recover so that you can get back to where you were just prior to that incident occurring. What that really means from a jurist perspective is that you're going to be asking them to award you money. So when we talk about fairness, we're talking about 6 people that you don't know. Those 6 people view the evidence and make a unanimous decision that will decide what the fair value is. When you're the one who's hurt, you have a good idea of what you think it's worth. The question is, can you persuade those other individuals whom you don't know and were witnesses to believe that's what the case is worth? Kevin Flesh understands the way the jury thinks. Call now for a free consultation, 303-806-8886.
If you've already made your list of New Year's resolutions, why not make one for your pet? At Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, furry friend resolutions are called Pawsolutions, and their caring staff will help you check off every item. Whether your pet's list includes an exam appointment, a diagnostic test, a dental cleaning, a medical treatment or surgery, a nail trim, a bath and brush, a boarding reservation, or behavior training, Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center can help with all of your pet's needs. And if food or pet care products are on your pet's list, you can shop in their lobby retail store or at their online store and have your items delivered directly to your home. Can't do a weekday visit? Your pet can visit them on Saturday at no additional cost. At Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, helping pets be healthy and happy companions is their #1 goal. Why not get started on your pet's New Year's Pawsolutions list today? Just call 303-708-8050, that's 303-708-8050, or visit Lone Tree Vet online at lonetreevet.com. Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, it's the place where my pets go.
You're listening to KLZ 560, your home station.
Welcome back to the show. Hey, a couple more minutes here with Paul the Waterman. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Water Talk with Paul Dowding, the owner of Water Pros. We just call him Paul the Waterman, and he is the owner of Water Pros. And I'm telling you, nobody knows water like Paul. If you've been listening 5 minutes or 55 minutes, I think you would agree. He knows water.
his big deal is to bring you education, all right? And I mean, really, that was the whole mission of our show several years ago. It's just to educate people on water, keep you up to date what's going on. It's forever changing and not for the good. And, hey, we're in this election time, and I see on social media a lot of people going to these rallies and see different people that are running for different offices and all. Hey, if you're in one of those and you get a chance to ask a question, bring up, what are you going to do about cleaning up our water here in Colorado?
That's a great,
absolutely. That would be a great deal.
That's a great point. Yeah, get involved. Ask politicians. Make them get involved. So here's what we have. Oh, by the way, if you go to YouTube, type in Paul the Waterman, all our shows are on YouTube.
Okay.
So people can listen to, last week's episode, past episodes, for whatever you and I have done in the last, 100 of years, it's there. So, okay, here's what's in your water supply. This is absolutely non-deniable, okay? Forever chemicals, pharmaceuticals, viruses and bacteria. Pharmaceuticals, also antibiotics, hormones, hormones to augment the body, hormones for reproduction. It's there. It's in our drinking water. Acetaminophen from Tylenol, ibuprofen, every major over-the-counter medication. It's there. It's in our drinking water. These are facts. It's not made up. You have to understand this. I want everybody to go to, a search engine, type in, unregulated contaminants in my drinking water, EPA's list, and then see this for yourself. Mm-hmm. We've got over 100 pages of information. We haven't touched hardly, anything on the biosolid contamination. So what's in the biosolids, people understand, that's the physical waste when you flush the toilet. That's a biosolid. That is given away, and farms use this for fertilizer. So if that's contaminated, then our crops are contaminated. The hay that the animals eat are contaminated. Also, colorectal cancer is now the deadliest type of cancer in certain group of Americans, mostly young people. But it's something that's increased since 1990. Is that because what's in our water? Is that because of the PFAS contamination? So, these are things that we definitely, and something else I just want people to think about, and I mentioned this before, and I just, not to, scare anybody, but if you're fighting cancer, if you have a loved one fighting cancer, then don't give them tap water. Mm-hmm. Because, I know for a fact that people, celebrities have passed away, and it's not the cancer that kills them, they end up dying of pneumonia. Right. And the pneumonia virus is in our drinking water. COVID spread through our drinking water. So I just, I don't know how else to get people to realize our drinking water is not safe. And the information we share in this show, we've always stated that you can find this. We do do the research.
Sure.
And then, you're right, election season is going to be, around the corner. Before you know it, we're going to have those endless commercials. Somebody asked a question, what are we going to do about the drinking water? Yep. What are we going to do? The infrastructure. That's another thing.
All right, Paul the Waterman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Give them a call, 303-862-5554. Let them know you heard them here on KLZ 560, and we'd appreciate that as well. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Crawford Broadcasting, the station, management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.